Hi, and welcome back to 1851's Top Franchise Development Website Series. My name is Ben Warren, and I'm so excited to be joined today by one of our judges from the series, Brent Dowling, co-founder and CEO of Raintree. Brent, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, Ben, thanks for having me.
Great. Well, let's jump right into the questions. So, first of all, when you were judging the sites this year, any trends stick out to you?
Um, I think overall, again, over the last couple of years in general, I think franchise development websites have come such a long way. And I think, the trend that we've seen this year and last year, recent years, as opposed to, the 5 years before that, um, I think what we're seeing is much more highly visual websites now. And I think that brands are really starting to clue into the fact that you really need to capture strong photography that embodies the culture and community of your franchise system or of the franchise model, and clearly showcases that, and showcases what the business actually is. I think that's becoming more and more important, and brands are doing it well now because we're kind of realizing that our attention spans are getting shorter by the day. In a world of Twitters and TikToks, we have a couple seconds to capture someone's attention or not. And I think so we're starting to see brands really clue into the fact that you need strong visuals to get somebody in to really commit to getting their attention and taking them through a journey on your franchise website. And overall, I would say I'm starting to see that more and more, and it's really encouraging.
Images, strong visual content, very important. Or are there any other traits that you thought were particularly good that you think brands should be embracing, or things that you saw that you don't think brands should be embracing, that they should be avoiding?
Yeah, I think there's, personally, I think I saw a little bit of on the other side of it, brands that provide too little content, and there's certainly an argument as to why that works and why brands may be doing that. But I work at a franchise sales organization, and we have about a dozen brands, and so we have the collective ability to see what works and what doesn't. And for us, our little 12 brand example, certainly going too light on content seems to hurt the conversion, seems to hurt how many people actually request information. And so, yeah, I think we saw two brands go for the kill too early with not enough content, whether it's that homepage. And we just believe there's a process to getting someone to commit to giving you their time or giving you their details or say call me. And we like to think of it like dating. And it's just like, before you go up to the guy or girl, you actually need to converse them. You need to wine and dine them. You can't just walk up to the person that catches your eye and ask for their hand in marriage. And that's the equivalent to what I saw a lot of franchise brands doing, or well, certainly a few franchise brands doing in some of these websites. So, rather I saw brands that I would assume had good conversion rates really focus on taking their viewer through a journey, educating them as well as giving them the information they need, in a way that allows them to get excited about the franchise, to want to know more, to want to say, hey, let's talk. Here's my information.
Did you notice any unique or unusual content, maybe things that you hadn't seen in previous years or hadn't even thought of for franchise development websites that you thought were interesting and maybe could get some mileage out of them?
Yeah, I did. I saw a couple podcasts that I thought were really intelligent. I think, we were all playing with those a little bit, or a lot of brands were. And I think figuring out how to provide value to a franchise buyer when you're the franchise brand through a podcast was something that was a little bit awkward for most brands. But we're certainly starting to see brands, and certainly at Raintree ourselves, put together those strategies to make podcasts viable and valuable to franchise buyers. That was the first thing for sure. Also saw some really great franchise videos. And again, at Raintree, we've been spending more and more time every year on video. We're always working on the next thing there. But we personally found long form content videos injected into the right place on the website, not necessarily on the homepage, but potentially on a thank you page. And by that long form, we're saying, 5 to even 10 minutes of effectively the perfect pitch, rather than waiting for your franchise buyer or your franchise lead to find time on our salesperson's calendar, to find time that's convenient to us. What we found work well was, let's give video with great visual stats, infographics, everything they're going to need on that call, and let's give it to them then and there so they can watch it at their convenience and get educated at their convenience. And internally, that's what we saw work well on our sites. And again, externally, podcasts were interesting to me.
So you mentioned earlier the importance of giving kind of the right amount of information up front and sort of wining and dining the prospect before going in for the kill. What types of stories do you think brands should be telling when you first arrive at their franchise development site?
What I see a lot of brands do is there's an assumption there that the lead, the potential buyer, understand exactly what the business is. And I think that's a potentially a bad assumption to make. So I think the first thing that you need to do, and you need to do it in a very pithy manner, you need to do it again with visuals, video, short content, or all three. You've got to make sure you articulate what it is they're actually looking at, because they can't get excited about the whys or the industry or the who unless they've actually wrapped their head around what the concept is. And I think many brands make that mistake of assuming the candidate knows what your business is. I think from there, you really, somebody at 1851, obviously the CEO there, Nick, he says it really well himself, and he says it frequently too, which is the why us and the why now. We've been big proponents of that too for many years. And I think that's the next place you want to go. Once they understand what it is, you want to give them the whys. I would caution though, on top of that, one of the things that I think we could all be doing better, and something we saw on a few of the sites, is almost in the entirety of the website and the content was focused on us. We're doing this, we won that, we are the only one of these. And that's okay, but I do think it needs to be balanced, and you do need to make sure that the website content and the journey focuses on the actual potential buyer, where they are, talking to where they might be in their career and why this might matter to them. So putting more of that content into question format, into putting it into the audience's perspective, I think that leads to better conversions, and I think it's a better way than just us all the time.
Did you find that many brands were still talking about COVID and sort of how they were adapting to COVID on their websites? And do you think that's still an important strategy?
Yeah, I think there's certainly, I saw a few of those. And I personally think it's still relevant to have in there, but it's got to be done delicately and carefully. I think if you just make the assumption that, this pandemic's over and we're never having to experience something like that again, and making the assumption that the buyer might think that too, that also might be an erroneous path to take. I think that where it matters, I think there should be some discussion about that. Personally, I saw brands do it well, not on the homepage and smack people in the face with it, but I do think that's sort of a question that someone starts to have once they've gravitated to the concept, once they've got an initial understanding of the what, the why now, and the whys. That next level, that next page or first email, that's a great place to have that type of content discussion, in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Brent, those are all the questions I have for you today. Extremely valuable insights as always. So thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. And I can't wait to check in with you again soon.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.